Can you guys hear me? How about now? I just reset my mic for the second time. Oh, fuck's sakes. I'm gonna go over this one more time, guys. So, new to chat information section. If you're new, go to that area, and then click on the disclaimer section as well. We'll go through that later on. Pre-market tickers on watch. A couple things we're looking at here: Tesla, MSTR, SWAV, KMX, MRNA, and then Lucy. You guys can kind of just read through this because I've gone over it like 4 times, but I mean, you can just see it and read through it just from a timing standpoint. So let's just start ripping through the charts from a technical standpoint. First two we're looking at today, guys, Tesla and MSTR. So let's just rip through that. So what are we looking at in that regard? So oops, let me get rid of that. So Tesla gapping up in sympathy with the market, and then MSTR gapping up in sympathy with Bitcoin. Because I can just go through the news as we go through it, right? So what do we got going on here? Not a bad looking chart on Tesla coming off the lows. There's a little bit of a downturn break on the 60-minute chart, which is what is nice to see. Inverted head and shoulders on the hourly as well. 186.68 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 191.66, 196.20. Unable to hold 180.21 to 174.86 on the downside. Overall, Tesla going to be leaning on the bullish side today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point is able to hold. So we'll see what happens in that regard there. So that is Tesla. Let's take a look at MSTR here. So MSTR, guys, gapping up a little bit. Let's see what we got going on here. Now, I was talking about this yesterday, that 315 breakout gets through that, which it did. And that's some nice room to the recent range high. Let's get those levels labeled. Starts to get pretty gappy in the amount of range it has. Okay, let's go look at this intraday. Yeah. So pivot to the upside today, 315.32. Levels able to hold 332.01 to 39. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to the words 303.69 to the 291.90 on the downside. Overall on MSTR, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. So that's MSTR, and that is Tesla. Let's take a screenshot of these two. Let's move on to the next. And just because Beth's out, guys, what I'll do is instead of having that option spreadsheet, everything that I type up always has the levels on it. So I'm just going to throw some options, ideas below that out the gate on, pivot crosses up, down. Okay. KMX, SWAV. Let's take a look at those two. So SWAV, nice little gap up there. SWAV, Shockwave Medical completes acquisition of Neovasc. Again, a decent little gap up because of that. Let's take a look at the signature day here. All right, so 240.41 pivots to the upside today. Levels able to hold 246.26. That 256.84 in my opinion. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback on this SWAV into 233.55 to 225.09. Leading bullish neutral. Looking for a grind higher today on the upside. So looking for a continuation grind to the upside there. KMX, let's take a look at that. All right, let's take a look at this intraday here on KMX. So pivot to the upside today, in my opinion, will be 69.87, able to hold 71.32, 72.64, and able to hold. We look for a pullback to 68.19 to the 66.30 on the downside, leading bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today, guys, if this pivot point is able to hold. So we'll see what happens in that regard. That's SWAV, that is KMX. All right, next two guys, we got mRNA and Lucy. So mRNA guys back down here, 152 pivot to the downside today. Broke all EMA support levels, unable to hold 148 to 144.96 in my opinion. Able to hold 155.38 to 158.74 on the upside. Overall on mRNA, going to leaning bearish, neutral, looking for a continuation sell off to the downside if that pivot point is unable to hold. So that is Moderna. Let's take a look at Lucy here. Lucy, guys, pivot to the upside 256, level holds 285, 322, unable to hold 234, 209 on the downside to 184, leaning bullish here out the gate, looking for a continuation push higher, and then we can see what happens there. I think this one can actually get a nice little push because of this. The news is pretty good for this environment with the ChatGPT. All right, so that's that. Let's take a look at the spine fang. All right, so market guys, what's going on here? So if you take a look at the SPY in the bigger picture point of view, what do we got? So market obviously flagging to the upside on the daily, decent looking chart there. Does have room for some continuation. Obviously, I know popped up a little bit this morning in the pre-market, then pulled back a little bit. 409.55 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 410.90, 412.88. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 407.52 to 405.79 downside, leaning bullish neutral. I'll be looking for a hold of that pivot and grind higher. We'll see if that's able to stay intact at the moment. The decent little gap up this morning, but obviously, we're giving it up a little bit here, which is not the worst thing. I don't love huge gap up days or any sort of big gap up day, typically for bullish action that typically comes in. So that's that. Apple, leaning bullish neutral. Let's take a look at, SPY. Let's take a look at Apple here. So Apple a little bit actually extended to the downside short term on the flag pattern, back to EMA support, 162.03 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold 164.22. That level breaks 165.64. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 160.09 to 158.66 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push higher today if that pivot point can stay intact. So that is Apple. Let's take a look at Amazon. I'm actually going to get these two levels there. 101.20 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold 102.60, 104.60, unable to hold 99.60, downside leaning bullish neutral, still flagging on the daily. I want to see if it can hold up that pivot for a continuation pop back to the upside there. That is Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. $342.09 pivots to the upside today through level holds 347.22 to 351.86. Unable to hold through 31.55 through 25.04 downside leaning bullish neutral there, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point is able to hold, in my opinion. Let's take a look at Meta. Oh, I never save these levels, but I don't. So probably one of the best looking FANG names, guys. You have this nice little range break set up to the upside on the daily there. Good amount of room for continuation. Clean chart. So let's take a look at it. So pivot to the upside today. Right now is going to be this level right here, 216.85. Level holds 223.97. Unable to hold 212.31. 208.74 downside leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point is able to hold. We can see a nice little reclaim of that level and continue push to the upside. So it's going to be a big level to get through because it's a resistance break or a range break on the daily to the upside. But if it can, get a pretty nice setup there, in my opinion. Let's Meta. Let's take a look at Google. All right, 105.56 pivots to the upside today. Level holds 108.09, 110.09, unable to hold 103.62 to the 101.89 on the downside, leaning on the bullish neutral side as well there. Like set up on the daily chart. So you got pretty good looking FANG names. For the most part, tech is holding up fine. As long as the market can hold up that flag, then of course, I would expect, well, I'd expect tech to lead the market first and foremost. But yeah, everything looks pretty good looking in that regard. Let's take a look at the VIX Qs IWM real quick. So VIX guys pivot to the downside today. Going to be 1924 level, unable to hold. We got room towards 1860 to 1811, able to hold 2017 upside. Overall, going to be leaning on the, well, actually not leaning any direction, but watching the VIX for direction on the market. And pretty much range bound for the last couple of weeks here. So we'll see how it acts today. It seems to be the case where, you know, we'll pop one way into the bottom end of the range, then come back by the end of the day, and same thing on the upside, right? So eventually something's going to have to give and it's got to break one way or the other. QQQs, daily chart looks great, flagging on the upside. Pretty much the exact same chart as the SPY at the moment. 316.98 pivot to the upside today. Levels able to hold, again, over towards 319.92 to 322, sorry, 32 on the upside. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback to 312.05 downside, leaning on the bullish neutral side today if that pivot point is able to hold. That is the QQQs. And last but not least, guys, let's take a look at the SPX. So SPX. There. Pivot upside today, 40.98, level holds 41.34, in my opinion, unable to hold 40.66 downside, leaning bullish neutral if that pivot can stay intact this morning. So we'll see what happens in that regard. So that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to South Beach while I type for that pre-market action plan up. I'll talk to you shortly. Selby, you're ready. She's all yours for now, my friend.
Hey guys, I have a new computer. Do you hearing me okay? Anybody? Yes, good.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, good. All right. I had two computers blow up on the same day. What are the odds? I got them the same day. They blew up on the same day. Fortunately, I keep a spare around, two spares actually, just in case. Anyway, all right. So let's see what we got today. Futures by and large pretty flat, right? Technically, the S&P and the Qs look really terrific. That's the setup, okay? Point of least resistance, I would say, is on the upside. I look at the bond market. I see that 10-year can't get out of its own way, right? 339, down from whatever, 412 or whatever the hell it got to. The short paper, the short end of the curve is really, I mean, you got a 3-month paper at 508, 6-month paper at 498. So, you know, pretty good competition for equities, yet equities seem to, you know, act great. No denying that. And the inversion is back up a little bit this morning. It's at 60. Okay, I think it was in the low 50s yesterday. All right, so that's that. Bond market's up a bunch in London. Their 10 years 351. So, you know, significantly above ours with 339. It's been under for ever and ever. Let's see where their 2-year is. Just their 6-month paper is 450. So flatter curve than we have. Okay, German rates are up a little bit, 0.08, 226 there, and you know Italy and France, of course, up if Germany's up. And the 10-year and Japan is staying below 5. So that's basically the bond market. You know, not a whole lot going on, but that's what it is. All right. Looking at commodities, we have oil basically dead flat. Okay. Natural gas pretty much the same, dead flat. It's up a couple of pennies. So that's that. Natural gas. Gold is up a little bit this morning. Gold has been in fuego for a fair amount of time now. And we look at the agriculture copper tight trading range. This thing barely moves. All right, nothing really there. And agricultural commodities have been very quiet. Okay, tight trading range for the most part. Trading at lower levels, etc. Currency wise, dollars mixed against North America. Down a little bit against the yen, up a little bit against the Chinese currency. 109 is the handle on the euro, basically flat, and 124 on the pound. Okay. And looking at crypto, that's where, you know, that market is just in fuego. Bitcoin above 30,000 for the first time in a while. Ethereum's up 1% there, and Solana is up 7%, $1.64. Okay. Remember, Solana was $2.50 a share at one point. It's $22 now. So a little bit of a hit there. And let's look at the foreign markets. Okay, FTSE's up 0.2, the DAX is up 0.2. And over in Asia, we have Nikkei 1, China flat, and Hong Kong up 0.75%. Okay, so that's your backdrop. So we have 3 Fed governors speaking today. One at I think 1:30, one at 6, one at 7:30. All right. We'll see what happens with that. To speak in front of the CPI is really like pissing in the wind. It's not going to matter what they say until that number comes out. All right. They have that tomorrow. We have the CPI. Now, remember what Barry Sternlicht said. Okay. He said rents make up 1/3 of the CPI and rents are down. So he thinks the CPI tomorrow is going to be better than expectations. He thinks that, you know, that inflation is better. Is he talking his book? Of course he's talking his book. All right, but we'll see if he's right. All right. So that's tomorrow. We got PPI Thursday, and then Thursday night we have some earnings. We have Delta, and Friday we have the, earnings season starts in earnest. Right? JP Morgan, UNH, Citibank, Wells, PNC, etc. Okay. So that's that. China, let's see what's going on with these guys. They have Baba coming out with a chat GPT on there, and they're going to roll that out, right? What else are these guys doing? Nothing really. They're not much in the news today. Oh, their PPI came out this morning. It was 0.7 versus expectation of 1. So that was a little better. So that's out of China. What else? We had, we'll talk about that in a minute. Russia, nothing really there. Their stock market, guys, it's just amazing. Every day it's up 1%. So go figure. Okay. That's crypto we discussed. That's broken out. Mr. Market yesterday. What did we have yesterday? Okay, trading day. No, not too bad. Better than I thought it would be. The Dow was up 100, S&P up 7. Solar, semis, banks, and big oil and gas were leading the charge on the upside. We had FANG, China, consumer non-durables, and drugs on the downside. Very weird combination. You know what I mean? You usually don't see, like, for instance, semis and banks on the same side of the ledger when you have and FANG and consumer non-durable and drugs. You would think FANGs would trade with semis, consumer non-durables and drugs would trade with the banks, et cetera, et cetera. So kind of like a weird rotational day. Okay. So that was that, right? What else we got today? Let's see. All right. It's really scary when you can't read your own writing. GM's investing in a lithium startup. They want to extract it in kind of a different kind of way. Apple PC sales were down 40% in Q1. That came out yesterday. I think Apple should remain soft until earnings come out. I would expect Intel to be a little soft too, right? Because they are really skewed to the PC. A lot of well-to-do Chinese are leaving and moving to Singapore, actually in droves, they're saying. Market is saying peak pricing is behind us, right? Now we'll see if the CPI can confirm what the bond market is telling us, which should be interesting. French, well, the French government guys, you know, what's his face? Whatever his name is, Caron, whatever, who's ever in charge there is going to Taiwan amid Chinese tensions. I mean, you got these guys going to China, Taiwan. I mean, you'd think they're like calling the shots in Europe. I mean, I look at France as like this, I don't know, let's not say. My mother said, if you don't have anything nice to say, move on. So I'm going to move on. Newmont is trying to buy a competitor in Australia for 20 billion. Big bet there. You see Newmont down on that. They increased their bid. Banking crisis, they're saying, is abating somewhat. The Federal Home Loan Bank lent out, I think, what was it, 304 billion 2 weeks ago. Last week, it was only 37 billion. So it seems like this problem is slowing down a little bit. Hopefully it stays that way. All right. Warren Buffett was in the news today. He's got positions in the 5 Japanese trading houses. He raised his stake in all 5 of them to 7.4%. Mitsubishi, Mitsui, Itushi. The other one I never heard of, Marubeni and Sumitomo. I don't know the 4th one. I never heard of them. I talked about Bitcoin. We talked about China, Baba GPT. South Korea is holding their rate steady overnight at 3.5%. BTIG semi-analyst Krinsky is saying that semis are vulnerable to some downside after that big rally they've had. Fallout continues from this U.S. intelligence breach that was on Discord. South Korea's pissed off. Israel's pissed off. And I don't know how these things always seem to happen to the United States. It's a little weird. I think the security needs to be revisited. They're also saying that Egypt is planning on selling ammunition to Russia in that leak. Russia making more gains in Bakhmut. You know, it's weird how Ukraine really isn't in the news like that. I read every morning. It was every morning. What's going on? They don't even talk about it, which is a little weird. 58% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, according to CNBC. New York Fed is saying that there's going to be an increase in people missing mortgage payments. It was 0.3% for over a 3-month period. Now they think listen to this jump. It seems like not realistic to me, but they say it's going to jump to 10.9% people missing payments over the next 3 months. I think that's crazy. I looked at it like it'd be a misprint, but it appears as though it is not. FBI is warning about using public charging stations for your phone. They're going to get hacked. Myrna. So Myrna has that meeting today. I told you guys I would talk about upcoming analyst meetings and such. So I touched on it yesterday. You don't know which way it's going to go, but generally when they have these meetings, you do get an increase in volatility. Here we have Myrna down $7. I guess they didn't like what they had to say so far. Winklevoss twins are putting $100 million into their Gemini crypto app. Okay, got $100 million to spare. That's kind of cool. All right. Individual names. So we had earnings in what? CarMax was good. Cleveland Cliffs gave an update. It was in line. PSMT was good. BKD, CGNT was good. Getty, you remember all those calls that traded the other day? Well, today Trillion Capital is pushing them to increase shareholder value. Okay, so that was probably them buying the calls. PayPal is partnering with Visa on their Venmo. That probably is a good thing for both of them. Weight Watchers got a big upgrade. We'll talk about it in a second. Lucy, LUCY is launching first GPT smart eyewear. Stock's up on that. Coinbase is up on crypto being higher. UNH top pick at Morgan Stanley over CI. So that stock's up a little bit on that. NOGN had insider buying, and RGNX got fast track designation. Okay, on the short side, we had ADTRAN, ADTN. We had Tilray. They're buying Hexo. Stock at Hexo was down. I don't know about you guys, but I find every time I listen to one of these voices, get excited, and I play the name, I lose money. I didn't play Hexo, but I'm just saying, every time you listen to those schmucks, I don't know, you guys may make money. Every time I listen, I lose, so I stop listening. If you find you're in the same position I am, maybe you should stop listening to these guys. 3 stocks were getting delisted: Cal, VORB, and PLXP. They're all down. Newmont we discussed. Moderna we discussed. KRUS is doing an offering. Take-Two is doing a $1 billion note deal. Upstart had a hard downgrade out of JP Morgan. Targets 11, stock 17. Microsoft, UBS is saying that the Azure estimates are too high. So that's Microsoft, that's down pre-opening quite a bit on that call. And Hexo is getting taken over by Tilray. Okay, let's talk about research, see if there's anything here. Kathy bought letter U and sold DraftKings. You know, I don't really care what she's doing, but some of you might, so I just mention it. Insider buying in NOGN. And you know the secondary in KRUS. These are the calls that I thought were interesting. There was one in Weight Watchers from Goldman, neutral to buy, and they take the target from 380 to 13. That's a huge statement. Okay, it stock's $4. So I'm sure it's 5.5 now, but yeah, 580. All right, so that one is one call. Another good big call is out of JP Morgan in letter LC. Remember this one, Lending Club? Outperformed target 11, stock 686. Who was it? Baird? Let me see. No, Truist raised a bunch of targets in a bunch of oil stocks. It seems like a lot of them have exposure to the Permian, but like big target increases. Like for instance, Apache, they raised the target from 51 to 72, stocks 39. Now, Truist isn't the biggest axe in the street, but Devon, they take the target to 87, OVV to 61, the stock's 39. I mean, like big raises, okay? Maybe it was based on this PXD story. I'm not really sure. Oxy, they raised the target to 86, Marathon 39. The only one they didn't like Exxon really, that was in line estimates, and Chevron they raised to 193, and COP 167. I'm not sure COP is a Permian stock. I don't think it is, but someone probably knows better than I do. Anyway, stocks 105, 167. So big target raises there. Akamai was upgraded by Piper. NVIDIA target went to 320 at key. The only ones that I think are worthwhile here, honestly, are the WW and LC. I think, and maybe if you want to make a Permian bet based on the PXD, it's probably okay. The rest of it is a bunch of nonsense, in my opinion. Okay, as far as the market's concerned, I think the point of least resistance is up. Group rotation, we'll see. I think mining stocks are going to be a highlight today. As you can see, they're coming out of the gate pretty strong. I think they stay strong. If the economy if they're going to start loosening these stocks, I would think commodities will be, a good place to be. So we'll see how that went. What else do we have? I think, what other tidbits can I tell you guys? What am I playing? Let's see. I've been hopping around, because there was no group rotation yesterday. So I kind of think banks have not been great trading vehicles in the last week or so. I'm going to stick with, these, individual names. I'm going to stick with the minerals, these commodity names I think are going to be on the long side. And as far as the short side, it seems to me like FANG is clearly a short. And I think these high PE tech names are going to be on the short side. All right. And as far as everything else, I think it's kind of up for grabs. But, I want the market. Yesterday, it didn't have a theme, which is really, really, really rare. So I couldn't really get into anything with a lot of gusto. But hopefully there'll be a theme today. All right. And if there is, then we'll play it. I'll let you know how I see it as soon as it comes out. But not a lot of pre-opening news, to be honest with you. And there is a analyst meeting tomorrow, FYI, in COP, which could be interesting. And you get Fed minutes tomorrow, and you get the CPI. So there's a bunch of stuff that we need to focus on. So that's really it. All right. I'm out of time. I'm going to pass it to Spartan, and it's all yours, my man.
Alrighty, thank you, Self Beach guys. Morning, what's going on? What is up? So, if you guys need to chat and already done so, make sure to click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. You're gonna pop in a chat, look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, disclaimer section, click on that, give it a read, as well as go to B, new to chat information section, scroll to the very, very top. Top of the section, you're gonna link to the disclaimer as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both. In regards to risk reward, guys, most important ratio in trading, so be sure to check it out, in my opinion, there before you do anything. Continue to scroll down. Some of how this chat works, breaks all the channels work on the left hand side, so you can probably navigate the chat throughout the day. Important to be looking there. Continue to scroll down. How to read alerts on the options and equity side, pretty straightforward in that regard. The options rules that we like to use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling and scaling out, trading different price contracts, all there. For the options ideas, as well as the SPX rules for the SPX ideas. Continue to scroll down with anyone with a small account, less than 10K, break it down into a smaller account. Less than 10K, here's some rules, information, discipline you can put in place, give a better chance of growing that account, in our opinion. Then last but not least, how to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective by overlaying your own criteria on top of those ideas. All right, so pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? A couple different things. I did post, and then if you guys are watching the YouTube stream, you can simply just pause this and read through it for the pre-market action plan. There we go. All the charts are posted, etc. I did post because that's the way, guys. So I just did the options stuff here, right below everything. So should help you there. And then obviously all the other charts. So what are we looking at today? Tesla, MSTR, SWAV, KMX, mRNA, Lucy. Tesla gapping up a continuation of the market. MSTR gapping up and simply with Bitcoin. SWAV, Shockwave Medical completes acquisition of Neovasc. Gapping up on that. KMX, CarMax shares are trading higher after the company reported Q4 financial results and for long-term financial targets. mRNA announced clinical and program updates from this morning and noted that its phase 3 trial of its flu vaccine did not meet statistical threshold necessarily to declare early success and recommended that the trial continue with efficacy follow-up. And Lucy gapping up on innovative eyewear shares are trading higher after the company announced its ChatGPT enabled smartwear. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we're looking at today, Tesla and MSTR. Let's rip through these charts, guys. So Tesla pivot to the upside today is 186.68. My opinion, this level holds. We got room higher towards 191.66. Unable to hold 196.20. Able to break, so 196.20 will be tested. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 180.21 to 170.46 on the downside, leading bullish neutral there. Calls 190, 195. And then downside, if it's unable to hold 180, 175. Again, you can just read those options in the Neo chat or the pre-market ticker section. You'll see the options ideas there too. All right, MSTR 315.32 pivot level hold 332.01, 350.14. Unable to hold 303 69 to 291.90. Pivot's a big deal on this MSTR this morning because it's the range break on the daily to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. Leading bullish on it for now, guys. Same with SWAV and the KMX. So SWAV guys pivot to the upside today. 240.41 level holds 246.26. That level breaks 256.84. Unable to hold 233.55 to 225.09 on the upside, leading bullish neutral there. Looking for a grind higher if that pivot can stay intact. KMX 69.87 pivot level hold 71.32, 72.64. Unable to hold 68.18 to 66.30. Downside, like the chart coming back above EMA support. You're into this, basically upper end range resistance level now on the daily. We'll see if we can break through it. It's going to be a pretty big level to get through though. mRNA and Lucy. Let's take a look. Moderna 152 level holds 155.38, 158.74. Unable to hold 148, 144.96 downside. On Moderna, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side today, looking for a pop, some top, and take the stock short on that, in my opinion. Lucy pivot upside today, 256 level holds 285, 322. Unable to hold 234, 209 downside, leaning bullish neutral, in my opinion, on that name as well, looking for a grind higher there. It's already ripping to the upside, actually. Let's get the upper end levels. So we got 401 and then 502, basically the next two big resistance levels there on the daily. So keep an eye on that. All right, stay with the spine of the fang. It's at like 386 right now. SPY guys, what do we got? So 409.55, and I'm going to type this up in the SPX section as I usually do. 409.55 pivots to the upside today. This level holds from higher into the 410.98 resistance. Breaks, you can see the 412.88 tested pivot, unable to hold, going lower into the 407.52 support. Breaks, you see the 405.70 tested, ending bullish. That is the SPY SPX there. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple 162.02 pivot to the upside today. Level holds 164.22. Unable to hold. We got room back towards the 160.09 to 158.66. I'm leaning bullish neutral if that pivot point is able to stay intact this morning. So we'll see what happens in that regard. Let's take a look at Amazon here. Basically, I don't mind the FANG. They're all flagging to the upside. It's just a matter of pivot holding. Amazon pivot to the upside today is going to be 101.20. Level holds 102.60. Unable to hold 99.60 on the downside, leading bullish neutral only if we get back above that pivot. Netflix pivot upside today is going to be the 342.08. Level holds 347.22, 351.86. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 337.07 to 331.55 downside, leading bullish neutral if that pivot is able to hold as well. Let's take a look at the Meta. Meta guys pivot to the upside today is going to be the 216.85 level hold 223.97. I need to hold 212.31 downside. They need bullish neutral there if the pivot point is able to stay intact. That's that. Let's take a look at the next, which is Google. Google, guys, pivot to the upside today. 105.56 level holds 108.09, 110.09. Unable to hold 103.62 to 101.89 downside. They need bullish neutral if that pivot point is able to hold as well. And last but not least, guys, VIX Qs IWM. So VIX pivot to the upside 1924 level holds 2017, unable to hold 1860, 1811. Keep an eye on this for direction on the market, guys. Super important as usual. And then last but not least, QQQs and SPX. I didn't post that one. All right, so QQQs. So I guess I just posted one more thing. QQQs pivot to the upside today, 316.98 level holds 319.82, unable to hold 312.05 downside. And last but not least, we got the SPX. SPX pivot upside is going to be 40.98 level holds 41.34, unable to hold 40.66, 40.27 downside. In bullish neutral if the pivot point is able to hold today. Big level, we'll see what happens. So that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. If you guys are popping into the YouTube stream, thanks for joining us this morning. Obviously a little bit earlier in the week than we typically do on Wednesdays. You can join us next Wednesday, should be on as usual. And if you have any